Hello, everybody. Welcome back to North American Pro League. And we are going to be getting underway very, very soon. The players are joining the server. We just had a quick switch up. Like we mentioned, it is going to be Cloud9 taking on NRG, just coming back from Croatia. And we talked a little bit about, it is kind of interesting. Sometimes when these teams, we talked about maybe this is a little bit of trap match for NRG coming back from such a big win from Envy. And every once in a while we see like the confidence that you can gain from an upset like that is actually huge. I mean, this could be a situation where we see NRG, if they can maintain that level, they're going to be a very formidable team, despite not being the strongest currently in the standings right now.
I think another question that a lot of people may be wondering too is how well is Peter going to end up performing in this set with him having the foot injury? How much is that going to affect him now? A
little bit woozy from the painkillers, perhaps.
Yeah. A little bit off the mark. But if that doesn't affect him, of course, we've already seen earlier on in the season when he was playing perfectly fine, just how much of an improvement he's had now ever since joining this roster. He's sitting at, if I remember the stats correctly, he's got to be among like one of the top 5, if not top 3 oppers right now in the North American Pro League. So he's had quite a big boost in his performance ever since jumping off of that old Winter Fox roster, sort of floated around in Premier for a little bit, and now he's back in Pro League and he's kicking some serious butt here.
Yeah, doing really well. And guys, if you want to keep track of these matches, maybe keep an eye on the schedule as the night progresses. Make sure you're using the Score Esports app. You can get that on the Google Play Store or Apple iOS. That'll keep track of individual statistics, team scores, scheduling, as we mentioned, throughout the whole week, throughout the entire season. And also, if you want to get involved in the conversation here on Pro League, make sure you're tweeting at us using the hashtag ESL Pro League. Give us your thoughts, your analysis on some of these teams, some of these matchups that we're going to be seeing all week. And then, yeah, we're just watching the players join the server. So as soon as they're in there and ready for the knife round, we're going to take it away. I think the big thing, Skadoodle last night when we got to watch him a little bit, because we were watching some of the IBA Power Cup, seemed to be a little bit, more active, a little bit more alive as an opper. He's been in a little bit of a slump this year so far to start things out, but at least last night, we started to see a little bit of those glimpses of him coming back into form leading up to the major.
I mean, overall, you look at pretty much everybody on C9, and everybody's now starting to fit back into a role again and also getting themselves really back into shape. Freakazoid 2, specifically on this map, which is going to be trained to start us off as well, he's had some pretty good performances within the past couple of weeks here in the Pro League and in some of those other matches. Been extremely crucial in finding the entries to get themselves either out through T connectors has been his big spot, and also when he needs to push down ramp, he's also had quite a lot of success down there too.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, this is just kind of, I want to see Silent. Silent, for me, at Counterpid was a very impressive player. He's someone we've seen have, the skill, we've seen him have the talent in certain matchups, and it hasn't been able to come to view consistently. But I think that display you put on at Counterpid was very, very impressive. We saw that huge clutch run with the 1 versus 4 he had against Envy on Mirage. That was massive, but more of that out of him would be fantastic because he is, to me, one of the big impact players on this team. But I mean, you want to talk about even more of an impact player is kind of in a way that we don't normally think about impact players is Gabi with this team. We've seen what leadership can provide to some of these North American teams. Even one where you look at the players and you say top to bottom, they don't have the skill that other teams have. But with that leadership that Gabi brought, they were able to have a massive upset over Envy, who, yes, is slumping, but it's still such a huge upset for Envy to get, or NRG to get.
The coolest thing about it, too, is he seems to have that sort of forcefulness that's needed to, like, drill these North American players into shape, because obviously you've seen the issues if you watch, like, the POV streams, that there's that loose calling style, and it leads to issues if things start to fall apart, where the teammates start to yell at each other and whatnot, and then the comms just become a complete mess for the rest of the match. Gabi takes full control of that situation and is directing that fragging power that is often the talked about thing among North American players. He's able to direct that exactly where he wants to and really force those players into shape.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just one of those things where that leadership, I talked about a couple times. It was actually talking to Silent when Gabi first joined the team. One of the first conversations they had, Gabi just said to him, "You're going to hate me in practice. Like at times you're going to be really angry with how I run the team, how I run practice, what the things I make you do. It is not going to be fun necessarily." So we're seeing some of that pay off, at least initially with the Counterpit performance. And then here in the Pro League, we're going to have to see how that's able to translate and keep going and see if they can keep improving throughout the season. Because just looking at the standings really quick, they are sitting down in 6th place. They're actually right behind Cloud9. They're 6-4. Cloud9 is 8-4. So this is actually a really big matchup for NRG to be able to kind of gain some ground on them, maybe make a late push in the season for those top 4 spots.
Yeah, and it would be actually, again, you have this sort of ironic thing going on right now. Well, not sure if ironic's the correct word to use, but the top 4 slots, 2 out of those 4 spots right now are being taken by teams that don't have a single North American player on it. And of course, if NRG manages to slip into the top 4 there, with a team that's mainly being led by Europeans, then, well, that's just a bit sad for us now, isn't it?
It makes you wonder a little bit why we see European players complaining about North America having 4 spots when we're giving 2 away to the Australians and the Brazilians there. So, and even Selfless up there. I mean, that's an incredible story in its own. Losing Kusta, a very high-profile loss, one of the big up-and-coming stars, goes over to Team Liquid, and yet still, Selfless has found a way to put themselves in the 3rd spot in this Pro League at the moment.
Yep. And some other teams too, like we already talked about at the beginning of the show, CLG extremely bad right now in terms of their record, down at 3-9. Complexity definitely not showing up this season at 3-13, and AGG hasn't won a single match as of yet. I think they're known by a different name now, but I think they're actually just Team K-Kona, but they
obviously
fully embrace the meme.
Either way, putting up a little bit of a goose egg there, and then the league, hopefully they can get on board. You know, because that is that 12th spot. That is the automatic relegation down to Premier. That is, you don't get to play in. You don't get to compete for that against the Premier teams. It's just you're gone. So try and avoid that. Not going to take too much. You can't see CLG Complexity in 10th and 11th place. I mean, they have 3 wins, so it is possible still for them to catch up there. But it is going to be very difficult for them to do so.
But it does look like, guys, that we are going live into the match now with the knife round. So we can go in and take a look at that and see which side's going to start off. For C9, actually, I don't really think that they're going to be so worried about the result of this one because, like we talked about, their T sides on this map are incredibly strong. So if they have to start off there, that could actually, technically speaking, be a good thing for them. It's NRG now that need to, A, bring their A game to the CT side to prevent C9 from stacking up so many rounds. And when they get onto that T side, make sure the strategies are actually really on point, because the last time these two faced off, I think they only got like 3 or 4 rounds on the T side.
Yeah, it is going to be a little bit... Well, this is also the thing that Cloud9 has been one of those teams that their real strength, they have like one leg to stand on in these matches recently, and that's all the CT sides. Usually have fantastic defenses, really struggle on the offensive side. We've seen them at times get 12 rounds and switch over to a Terror side, and that's just not enough for them to close it out. It does get very scary. Now, I did see improvement. They did have much better Terror saves last night and over the weekend in the Ava Power Cup, but still something to keep their eye on. As we may see, I mean, nothing's been very vocal about the impact that Irakanji can have, not necessarily always on in-game calling, like not necessarily calling strats, because nothing is still doing that, but just the advice he gives and the way he helps them out in practice, just maybe helping Jordan Nothing remember something crucial that might be able to pick the strat that he wants to call. So very curious to see how they move forward into this Pro League, and actually the last week before the Major as well.
Yep, so as well, just in case anybody is curious about how things are going to be rolling for the second map, that's going to be over, if I remember properly, on Cobblestone. So that one, of course, where C9 might end up having the advantage a little bit here on this map, going into Cobblestone is where they're really going to start struggling a bit more, because that's where C9 has had a bit of a rough time over the past couple months. Ever since they dropped that set to CLG in the Malmo qualifiers, where they only put up like 2 or 3 rounds, they just haven't really been on point on that map at all.
This is very curious to me with a team like Cloud9. We see players like Freakazoid has been having a very good performance lately. Shroud is also stepping up. I mean, these are players that we're going to have to see find this new system that they're kind of inventing themselves for the Terra side. Going to be very... they still feel like there's a lot of up and down performances, but I still am looking at them like, you know, when you see the groups for the Major, I think they're actually the best chance for North America to get a team out of the group stage.
Yeah, that might be possibly so.
It's kind of scary to think about that, isn't it? With all these teams kind of underperforming at the moment, that they are still the hope, despite the well-documented struggles in so many different areas.
The worst part, too, is they might... I'm looking at it, and with all the North American teams, like, I think C9, I agree with you, the C9 does probably the best chance out of all of them right now, just because of their increased performance, but for these other teams, I feel like, because... Like, you can say that there's some good things in that some of these lower-tier teams are now going up against, like, Liquid and CLG, but I don't look at that as a good thing. I look at that as a very bad thing, because I'm not seeing, like, huge increases in the performance of some of those lower teams. I see this as some of the bigger teams, like Team Liquid, CLG, and whatnot, are just not really performing up to par, so while C9 may have a chance for some of these other North American teams, it might be a bit of a rough struggle.
Yeah, Liquid is kind of that team that we've expected to like take the mantle, and they haven't done it quite yet. That pickup of Simple, Akusta as well, they haven't found a way to make it really work in the way that we expected them to. We expect them to be a little bit more dominant, a little bit more convincing in their victories over North American teams. Not quite there. So it is still very much on Cloud9's shoulders, as just kind of, you know, they have that title by default, essentially. It's just a technicality. They've been able to keep it as the best North American team because we haven't seen enough evidence. Optic, meanwhile, I mean, we can talk about them. They're number 2 in the league at the moment. That's actually a pretty solid season out of them. I mean, this is a team that failed to qualify for the Major, failed to qualify for Malmo, I believe. there was
Yeah.
one other big one that I feel like they failed to qualify. Either way, team that looked good in North America these past few seasons, previously known as Conquest, come over to Optic. They struggle in a couple qualifiers, but they find themselves now in a great position to make it towards these LAN finals. At 10-2, they're sitting in that second seed right behind Luminosity.
Yep, and of course you still have Selfless there too, which has been a bit of an interesting story in itself. I think a lot of people probably thought that this roster was not going to be going very far at all after they ended up losing Kusa to the Liquid roster, but that they've managed to pick up a new player, Nifty,
Sick, isn't it?
who's actually been doing amazingly in these matches. I haven't managed to fully spectate one of them in quite a bit, but from those first couple of games we saw where he just joined the roster, he was still either first or second on the scoreboard there and leading the stats. So it seems like they've just found another really good opper that can push this team forward in matches where some of the other teammates might be struggling a little bit.
Yeah, it's just insane the way that they're able to bring that back, because they were a team that I've talked about. They were doing things the right way. Their first season of Pro League, they went about 500. They had like a very outside chance of the playoffs, but the way you watch them improve was very much fundamental. They didn't have the skill outside of Kusta. They really didn't have any skill to compete with some of the other teams in Pro League, but they still made it work. So once again, doing that here in this season of Pro League with even with their heavy hitter gone is very impressive feat for those 5 guys.
And we've seen some of the other players on that team too really start to step up, especially at some of the lands. Like Uber did really good. Mainline back at the minor had a really good performance too. So it's not even just like it's that opera that's doing most of the work for them anymore. They have these star performers that can also show up and lead the top of the scoreboard in some of those games. You're right. Previously, back in the era where these guys were just getting up to Pro League in September, it was 90% of the time it was always Kusta, and it was just such a top-heavy performance. That's changed a bit now, and everybody seems to get a share of the pie.
Yeah, well, and the tough thing too is when you lose someone like that, it's like everyone on the team has to adapt and realize that they have to put more into whichever role they're playing in a tactic, and everyone's really stepped up to the plate in that sense. So really good stuff. And NRG here. I mean, let's get back into this matchup, because we have had a couple server changes, so we have swapped over a few times, but we're now seeing the entire Cloud9 team is in the server, seeing them start to join up, so we can get back to this one. I think the big duel that I think is really exciting to talk about. I mean, I know when we were doing warming up or doing some rehearsal leading up to this, is that your 2 big players to watch were Justin and Freakazoid.
On this map, yeah, I would say, because Freakazoid is going to be the main thing that gets these players into the bomb sites on their T side, whereas Justin is the big question now. Of course, we can expect some of the we can still expect some consistent fragging out of him, but are we going to see that star performance is my big question. He's always floating towards the middle, and when he needs to play, he does, but sometimes, of course, he fails as you would normally expect from a player. Back at the LAN, of course, we saw something monstrous out of him, but it's been very inconsistent. There was like 13 maps these guys have played recently, but only like 3 out of those 13 he's managed to pull over a 1.0 HLTV rating. So it hasn't been the most consistent for him, and now the question is coming back from that LAN where 2 out of 3 of those last 13 maps were at that LAN. Is he going to continue to perform like that, or is he just going to go back down to sort of the middle of the totem pole?
Yeah, maybe he's just a LAN player. Maybe he's the hero we need here in North America. But I mean, it wasn't just Justin. It was Silent had some big rounds. Obviously, you talked about the stand-in taps and having really big performance at that event as well. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's almost you think Train, you think it's going to be an op map. But we've seen how much the oppers can dictate. So Peter versus Skadoodle is going to be pretty interesting to watch. As we mentioned, Peter may be a little bit woozy on the painkillers from that brutal, horrible foot injury that he suffered. If you have not seen the picture of that. It is disgusting. It is actually frightening.
It's kind of nasty.
Turbulence on an airplane, dangerous thing. I actually have always thought that pilots were just talking trash when they would be like, all right, we're getting some turbulence, guys.
I'm still
Stay in your
curious
seats.
as to like how that would have happened.
Yeah,
It's just
know.
a really bad trip,
That's a lot of turbulence.
did you like fall over a seat?
I have no idea. And poor guy. I saw the picture, so obviously very brutal. He had to have surgery like immediately. Couldn't wait, so that's why he missed out on the Counterpit finals. But at least he got to travel home. Now he's got a cool story. Got to watch his team. That's gotta be tough to deal with though. When you watch your team have that kind of performance at an event you're supposed to be playing in, that's got to be mentally a little bit of an interesting scenario. So hopefully he can pull through, stay strong through that, and have a big impact here today.
I think another player, too, on the NRG side that we actually haven't brought up so much is Legia, who in quite a few of these online matches has been that big fragger that you're looking for. It's not necessarily Justin in all of them, it's Legia that's actually showed up, and that was a bit surprising considering what some people were saying about him coming onto this roster. Is he really going to be able to perform that well? And he's shown that in quite a few of these games he can, and he comes out with these monster clutches, getting 3Ks, 4Ks constantly, and winning the rounds where the rest of the team is going to end up failing. So he's a big player here, and he's definitely going to be another one to watch out for in this match, especially if they end up having some rougher times in these duels.
Yeah, and I mean, this is Train is just an interesting map right now because we do find a lot of times, especially in North America, a little bit, you know, not logical in that the terror sides are. You can sometimes have like very, very strong T sides. You can sometimes see the offenses just snowball out of control in the defense, and defense can never really recover. So, really, really tough spot for them to be in.
Another thing here too, obviously, with the fact that obviously the economy on the CT side being so far out of control, if Peter becomes that very crucial player that we have seen in some of the previous matchups for NRG here, if he's not going to be up to par due to that foot injury or whatever other factors may be spinning through his head right now, then unfortunately, or apologies, if he's not going to be affected by that foot injury and all these other factors, and he can bring that fragging power, the next thing these guys are going to need to make sure that happens to ensure that actually is brought to the table is that the CT economy is controlled well enough, because we've seen plenty of times in these matchups, especially in North America, that these guys are just completely unable to keep even a semi-coalescent buy going on the CT side to where they can even afford that off pickup.
Yeah, but either way, we'll find it all out. It's all great to talk about in theory, but we are, as you guys can see, finally getting into the knife round. They are ready to go. And this is for that all-important CT side of things, and NRG just cleaning it out. So they look like they're going to be starting on that defensive side. We're going to have to see Cloud9, how much work they've put in, how much help has Irakanji been, even, like we mentioned, Stewie with some of his tactical input. You know, Cloud9 has been saying that he's been helping out very, very much. So we'll have to see what kind of an impact that's had early on in Irakanji's reign as a coach.
And hopefully, too, the consistent players still show up to the table for C9. Shroud, of course, who we're used to seeing, and actually, looks like there's going to be an interesting bit to start off here. Is they're going to throw C9 is going to go on to the CT side to start off. Despite the fact that NRG had won the knife round, they're going to start on the T side first, which is an extremely risky move, in my opinion.
All right. Interesting. The plot thickens. Live into the pistol round, we're going to see Stewie picking up Nade, 2 flashes, Skadoodle as well, Kit and Smoke. Freakazoid is going to pick up the armor, so 3 members in Cloud9 with armor, and on the NRG side, it is 2 players with Smoke, 3 flashbangs, and a Nade across the 2 of them. And very quickly, a lot of members of NRG streaming up towards the inner bomb site. Stewie's going to get close up. He's going to throw out. That's just a flashbang. I think he heard some footsteps, just wants to slow him down. Going to play a little bit more passively, though. So this is very, very bold from NRG, just immediately going over towards the inner bomb site. Nothing's already got a wide flank. He's gathering information all the way at T-spawn already. So we should start to see Freakazoid, Shroud. One of them should start rotating to the inner bomb site any second.
2 of them already plastered inside of it, though, but at the same time, NRG now ready to roll out onto that B-bomb site to go for their execution. Still being a bit slow about pushing themselves down ramp, especially with the good timing on the nades from C9. They hold them back quite nicely. Only 1 player shuffles out. It's Silent. He finds his way through, but there we go. A nice little one-tap there from Skadoodle to finish him off after Stewie had lit him up. They will push the rest of their players in to try and get that plan. And Skadoodle, he's still going to stay in that position, picks up another kill. Freakazoid finds a 3rd, and now it's just down to 2 left alive here from the T side. They're trying to hold it off. They lose one of their remaining guys, and only Glagia is going to be left up and rolling here, trying to hold that upper angle, but Stewie is going to push right up on top of the bomb trade, shut him down, and C9 take great control of things in the pistol round.
Yeah, it is a slaughter there, and Skadoodle had a really clever angle on top of the high train there and in our bomb site, but it was mostly nothing with all that information he gathered. The interesting thing about it was actually Cloud9 didn't cheat any rotations over onto it. I was surprised to see Shroud and Freakazoid being very immobile in the outer train yard. They do get there in time, but no one cheating over. But with that plant, NRG, they're down 0-1. They're going to save a little bit into this. They're not going to pick up the armor. It is the upgraded pistols, P250s, the Deagle. They're going to go for the AK-47s in the next round.
And pretty much everybody right now on the side of NRG just moving themselves through over to line themselves up for a push down inside of the ladder room. They've got a couple more players waiting inside of T-Connector. That's Justin waiting for that, but this could very easily evolve itself into an inner hit as well. If they would like to change things up, Gob B is going to be investigating the back of the B-bomb site now, and they still mainly have Stewie watching this, but with a very light buy that NRG has gone for. They got the plan on the first round, of course, so just going to be saving up more than likely for a 3rd round buy. With that plan happening, no reason to worry about leaving Stewie alone on this site. And with the gunfire going off too, they can start to shift a little bit more in here to prevent that secondary plant from happening.
Yeah, the big scary part for Cloud9 is Justin right now has worked his way into that first alcove in the outer train yard. If he's able to find a shot with this Deagle, like you said, there's no utility, there's no smokes. They do spot him out, so it's going to be hard for him to get anything done. But without any smokes, with only flashbangs, an opening shot from that Deagle is pretty much all that NRG can hope for to open things up for the round. Now Freakazoid getting aggressive, pushing in towards team main. Silence back there, but here's the footsteps, and they're down ladder. Freakazoid's going to be ready to stall this out. He's got to be careful from behind him, and he is going to check it in time. Flashbang comes out. He dodges that perfectly. Silent falls, and now it should be an easy mop-up. Even lineup for Freakazoid. He gets 1 kill. A nice shot on the Gob B, and Peter's the last one left.
A good attempt from NRG to try and sneak their way over to the A-bomb site. Unfortunately, when it comes time to shove their way in there, It's a little bit too slowly executed, and they're found out very early on there by Freakazoid. So Peter's going to try to sneak his way into a couple more kills, but it's not going to happen. Stewie pushes up to the back of the site, shuts him down. And C9 will start off 2-0. NRG, though, as we actually go into...
I don't think they're going to go for this buy here. I actually think they're going to save it one more with that bomb plant.
We've seen, actually, in quite a few of these matchups now that Gabi, if they actually don't get any plants in the first 3 rounds, they just save for that 4th round as well, for the triple save, essentially, and then just buy up on the round after. So it wouldn't be completely far off, especially considering in the past what Gabi has called for, that they would just save again here and wait for the 4th round so that they can get a full buy with an op and everything.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the worst idea, and actually I think that's actually, I mean, I think Justin's already kind of given it away. As we can see, he's bought up a P250, he's bought up a flashbang. So he's already invested into a pistol, so very unlikely with bringing himself down to 3K that he's going to go for any kind of Galil or an AK no armor buy here. So one more round for NRG to be at a severe disadvantage, but I mean, like you said, this should give them in the 4th round plenty of utility to use, all the head armor they need. The AWP should be out in Peter's hands. He's up at 4,000, so really not investing too much. He's gotten a couple kills, so he is able to pick up a P250 in a smoke, but not really too much of an investment that's going to take him away from that sniper rifle.
But it should be unpaused in just a moment here, assuming that this was a decision being made by NRG. It actually looks like they need to figure out what's going on with the Gia, so it's a bit of a technical pause here. But the save is going to be happening here, not going to be forcing the buy just as of yet, and that won't put NRG too far behind, of course, as they're just going off the normal path of waiting for the 4th round, the usual course to buy things up anyway. But for C9, they will get themselves off to a bit of an early start, which is good for the CT side, because keep in mind, again, like we talked about before, the T side is where they're really dangerous on this map against numerous teams in North America. They've been able to show they can rack up quite a bit, so it's NRG now that the pressure's on them. They need to try and put up as many rounds as possible here on the T side.
Well, I mean, we can talk a little bit about, I really don't like this decision to go T-sided on Train when you win the knife round. Not only is it, I mean, obviously on this map, just like the more difficult half, we've seen the struggles that you can have on this, but Cloud9, like we talked about in the pregame, is just the team who's, you know, even despite, you know, their slump, even despite their reduced, you know, performance ever since Sean has left, you know, they look like a much less frightening team, but even throughout all that, they've still had very strong CT sides. They've been great on the defense despite some of these changes, so for NRG to give that very strong side of Cloud9 over to them is a little bit crazy, and it's not starting out well here down 0-2.
And of course, NRG now going to try to push their players as we take a look now, setting themselves up for what appears to be a default A push, but it's going to be much more quickly executed than we saw in the previous round due to that slow play. The Gia, he's already outside of T-Con, pushing himself up through the middle of the trains right now, looking for the first kill, and he's going to grab it on a Freakazoid, but it's already been responded to by Shroud. And Shroud cleaning up a second one onto Silent as well. Stewie pushing into the back of B. He finds the bomb. And Shroud cleaning things up even further there. Scoodoodle gets a piece of the action by finding a frag onto the Gia, but no dice for NRG there on that attempt to force their way.
Yeah, now this is the round that NRG's waiting for with that double save, even with a plant. Now they're going to have that AWP out. This is just the Gia trying to find a little bit of something to work with, and even with one kill, the defense closes the gap so quickly. Stewie's going to keep the SMG. There is no op out on the Cloud9 side. So Peter's got to be very, very effective in this round. He's got no one to really oppose him in terms of any kind of outplay. Pop Flash is going to go out for those box hauls. Peter's going to come over towards Ivy, try and grab an angle, see if he can get a pick off. It's Shroud who's the closest to falling into that trap.
The default setup once again from NRG as they'll be trying to execute over towards the A bomb site, but 2 players in the back of B going to try to make as much noise as possible to hold these rotations inside. Heavy commitment from Scoodoodle. So if they can keep this illusion alive for an extended period of time and these push over out towards the A bomb site goes very well initially, and this could allow them to take full control and immediately force the save from C9. However, with how aggressive C9 is being, that may not end up happening. Freakazoid once more has already pushed inside of T-Con. This has become sort of his trademark on this map. Both on the T side and the CT side, he loves playing in this area. He's going to continue to push this so long as he is met with some successful trades. So just going to smoke it off for the time being. He doesn't find anything. The timer is getting a little bit lower. Falling back, and I'll regroup just as this execute was about to start as well. So great timing on the CT-sided nade so far from C9.
Nade doesn't do too much damage, and yeah, Freakazoid, he backs out, and there it is. The battle with Shroud. Silent's gonna lose it despite Shroud being completely blind. Peter's falling all the way back to get the bomb. 40 seconds left on the clock. They're still locked out of everywhere. They want to come out T-mid. They want to come out of ladder room. The Cloud9 has such an aggressive defense on this choke point. Freakazoid, the timing's not going to work out for him. And there he is. He swings out. He spots someone, loses that. Nothing. All alone. Left close up in a 1-on-3. He does fall to Gabi, who gets 2 kills. Shroud immediately behind Nothing at range. It's just down to Skadoodle and Stewie has that SMG.
Final two are split up as well. You've got Skadoodle wrapping around right now. He's going to have a good angle. Nobody really paying attention to it at this point, but Peter's going to loop in. He's spotted him. Skadoodle gets synced down to 20 HP. Now Stewie has managed to drop inside of the ladder room and find himself a pickup on a Gabi at the very least, but now he's going to find his way outside, taking a duel with one of the players sitting behind the E-box there, but it's not going to go successfully. Peter shuts him down, and Legio finds the final frag on a Skadoodle. NRG wait for that first gun round, and it pays off in huge dividends. So now they're going to get their first round onto the board here.
Yeah, nothing. These angles are so tough to deal with at time, and that was just so fortunate for Gabi because Shroud playing in Hell, he just lines up perfectly for him, and they gets a double kill. That opens everything up for NRG, but Cloud9 not out of it just yet. They are going to have a bind this round. Now we have the op on Skadoodle. This is the last one they'll be able to have. They did spend all their money into this, so they cannot afford to get their economy broken this early in the half.
The players on NRG, though, same type of setup that we've seen previously, getting themselves into positions much quicker this time, and the bomb, instead of pushing its way over there towards Ivy or being held outside of the T connector, they've actually moved it over here on top of the ladder room. In the event they need to change things up and go for a hit over towards the inner bomb site and make that decision very quickly instead. Still that same aggressive push from C9 though on the outer bomb site. Both Nothing along with Freakazoid pushing themselves inside. Nothing has to take the initial duels here. We do see Stewie on the inside bomb site having to take the first of it though. He gets himself into a duel versus Gabi. He does come out on top, but he himself is going to lose about half of his HP as well.
But he's forced the defense back. Skadoodle's now rotated over, so good pressure applied by NRG. Shroud, once again, Silent is going to creep up. This is looking like it's going to be a battle deep into this half. It's going to happen frequently. Question is, when does Shroud choose to pounce? Peter's holding this angle, though. And I think Peter's going to find this one first. Spots the elbow, takes the shot through the wall, brings him down very low. Doesn't kill him, though, but Shroud has a chance here. And there he goes. Nade rains in. Freakazoid close up towards Chichoki. He has the wrong time, though. Justin's about to expose himself. And there's Molotov from Nothing. Comes out and splits Peter off from Silent, so he gets that opening kill. But Justin pounces right at the correct moment. Freakazoid now in Hell, trying to bide his time. And actually, Justin's going to run right into it. Not prepared for this. Freakazoid's just waiting. Caught by that flashbang, being patient. Does find it. It's Peter's turn. He gets dinked, but he does find the kill.
And now waiting for another one to come outside of the ladder room. Great connection on to Stewie. All that's left alive at this point is going to be Skadoodle, but Skadoodle has a huge health advantage, finding that first kill, but Peter just around the corner. Big mistake from Skadoodle to keep himself out in the open for that long. Peter's going to close it out with just a couple HP left and give NRG their second round here, forcing C9 on their first save.
Yeah, tough trades. And this one, I mean, this forces Shroud so passive that nade. And Freakazoid, it looks like he wanted to wait as long as possible to get Peter into line as well. Not able to make it work with that. Stewie comes out a little bit too early, and Peter's ready for it on the flank. So that does break the economy. Cloud9 back onto pistols. 2-3, NRG. They do lose 4 members there, but they can start building up some money into this round if they can survive without too much damage. Justin already spots one out. That's a team Molotov that forces him away. So they have to take a new avenue to get onto this bomb site. Stewie's trying to get aggressive, can't make it happen. These pistols just are not working out in this train yard. Even Skadoodle getting a dink, but falling very swiftly.
No frags at all going on NRG that time, so going to be able to stack up the money quite nicely here. Not just as of yet, but they're going to get that fledgling economy going. Gabi being brought down to 6 HP, but no kills being found. Whereas on the side of C9, they're still a little bit off the mark, but they should be able to force up a buy here, and that's what they're going to do. Only one downgrade, it seems, bringing Shroud down to Ufamas. The rest of the guys are going to be able to afford armor buys behind their M4s, but utility is going to be severely lacking on Nothing, Stewie, and Skadoodle.
Yeah, this is where they're going to have to rely on winning some battles, and they're going to have to be very cautious because you can see Peter, against low utility with this op, he's being very active in trying to find somebody to pick off. This is just an information gathering, see if anyone's going to cross over. But later on in this round, I mean, any execution that NRG does, it's going to be like much easier for them. It's not. There's going to be nothing for Cloud9 to hamper them with. No Molotovs to throw out, no smokes into the choke point. So it could be an easy round for NRG. One of their smokes is used on ladder room right now, and now you can see NRG just waiting this out, waiting out the utility.
This could become a bit problematic, though, because we've seen with these slower executions how aggressive C9 have been in the past, that they were able to get good reads on these situations and react accordingly. So Shroud, that pop flash rolls out, a perfect connection on Silent, but Shroud doesn't really proactively try to pursue that for a kill. Just going to be sitting back and waits for the peek to come out from Silent, who actually at this point still has not found a single kill as of yet. Actually, apologies, correct myself there. He does have 2 on the board that he got just in the last round there, but Shroud and Nothing going to pick up the first 2 frags, taking down Silent and Justin. Legia and Peter, though, strike right back. So down to a 3v3, and they still have 1 player left alive over here on the site, Nothing. And to try to keep himself alive, he's the only one with an alternate angle to work with. Skadoodle trying to push himself in, but he's sort of stuck in Ivy at this point too, so C9 just going to play that passive defense now that they've lost 2 of their players.
Yeah, Stewie's going to be the big X factor in this, playing in CT connector right now. He's the big rotation point. Nothing is waiting to hear this plant go down. There's no one from NRG really to be able to stop him from having an impact. Actually, Peter and Legia, they really adjust their angles now. Legia, though, those footsteps should be heard by Skadoodle, but they're not. Nothing's out in the open. He does get the planter. Skadoodle trades that kill. That's huge. It's down to just Peter in a 1-on-2. He's got the angle with the AWP, and he unscopes at the wrong moment, but he lands it on Stewie anyways. And now Skadoodle sees him readjust himself, but Peter trying to find the shot. The train is being used perfectly by Skadoodle. Coming up on top of that flashbang is not good. He blinds himself. Peter playing it very patiently at the base of this ladder. Skadoodle's got to chase this down. He does have a kit, but the movement of Peter has pretty much won this round. He's buying so much time, using the bomb as a teammate, and eventually finding the great fight. Skadoodle falls in the end, and Peter clutches out a 1-on-2 to give NRG their 4th round.
Peter, a perfect read on that situation there. Nicely done, realizing the momentum that was coming at him from Skadoodle, basically catching him at every time he tried to change his pace. So very well read. That foot injury, at least as of this point, not adversely affecting him as of yet, as he's essentially carrying this team right now with an 11-3 scoreline. The next player down is Legia at 6-5.
Yeah, he's been having a very good match, and Cloud9 back onto his save. The losing bonus is building up. It's got 4 rounds. Almost at the full bonus, and this time NRG sending 3 members towards the inner bomb site. Gob is going to watch for a flank because Skadoodle is very close to the ladder, so he's got a good read on that situation. But Legia and Justin going to be able to kind of probe this inner bomb site, see what they can find. Silent, you know, we've seen it all half so far. He's been out towards Ivy. This is the battle he wants to take. He's going to be there alone while the rest of NRG messes with the other side of the map.
So playing it up close is going to be Skadoodle. Gob going to test it in a moment here. Pop Flash rolls out. He drops down a little bit early, but thankfully is still able to find the execution on a Skadoodle. No follow-up coming, though, outside of the site itself. Despite these players being set up for a default execution, they've got 3 in the back of B right now. They might just try to move in with having some of the other players come in a bit late. Stewie lined up, though, going to be able to almost catch Peter, but Peter on point with these shots. Brought down to 2 HPs, dinked by Stewie, but still wins another duel and brings it into a 3-on-5 now.
Yeah, I mean, this should be a round that NRG has no problem losing. So now we're starting to see losing the pistol round, but this decision to start on the terror side for NRG, they've handled it so well, and they are just abusing the Cloud9 economy at the moment, not able to get anything rolling. Next round, I mean, they'll be able to have anything they could want, and that's the buy that Cloud9 we're going to see. They have to be able to win that, because already up towards 5 rounds, NRG is going to be feeling very, very good this early in their terrorist half. And Cloud9, I mean, they've got to get back on the board. They're going to have the AWP in Skadoodle's hands. They could switch to a double op setup. We've seen that very effective for Cloud9 in the past, whether it be Stewie picking it up usually. Sometimes even Freakazoid has been picking it up. So
now, with just the final 2 left alive here, trying to sneak their way outside and look for some exit kills, but they've been found out. Silent.
That's out there.
Meets one of those connections, but Freakazoid's hanging out right behind him, so he is going to be able to finish him off. Justin, though, assisted by many of his own teammates, is going to be able to roll right in there and finish off Freakazoid, but they will end up losing one of their players at the end, so some damage done to the economy at the very least.
We mentioned that I mentioned that I wanted to see this Peter versus Skadoodle battle. Currently, Peter's having a great game, but you mentioned you wanted to see Justin if he could keep that up from Counterpit, and I talked about Silent having a really good event as well. Both of them are at the bottom of the scoreboard at the moment. Now, it doesn't matter whatsoever because they've already got 5 rounds. They're winning on the terrorist half and the gun rounds. This is a bit curious to see, and now we're seeing the double up setup come out for Cloud9. It's a little bit different. 1 on Shroud, 1 on Skadoodle.
And Peter pushing in, going to try to take that early duel versus Shroud. Hanging back for now, doesn't want to actually peek the angle, but the bait shot does not work at all. Shroud meets the connection on a Peter, and for the first time in quite a while, he's going to be the first player to fall here. Shroud trying to find that second shot, but not going to be able to grab it as of yet. However, with the loss of Peter, this is going to slow down NRG by quite a bit.
Yeah, smart play from Shroud not to take the shot at the jumping. That was just the bait. And you can see that switch up. He knows he's been challenged by Peter and Silent a couple rounds in a row, and he's just saying, this time, no more of that. I'm going to pick one of you off with this AWP. I'm going to surprise you with the switch up in the weaponry. Now NRG, they don't have a lot of map control. All they can really rely on at the moment is Silent and Godby to somehow work together across this outer train yard to find a kill, to alleviate some pressure, to give the Justin and Legia towards that inner bomb site just a moment of opportunity to pounce, to pull Skadoodle away for just a half second. And Silent is being stalled out with this AWP. He does have an angle, but no one from Cloud9 is offering him anything.
So not being given all that much at this point with C9 now. Very aggressive at the beginning of these rounds, but after that, pretty much hanging back for the rest of it. As soon as they get themselves into some stable positions. Godby still trying to take a bit of a duel versus Freakazoid, but Has to fall back once more. They are trying to sell themselves now on this inner hit, but nothing's going to be able to take down Silent. He's going to fall as he tries to push his way out towards Ivy. The rest of these players trying to push themselves down towards the B site, but look at how sloppy this is. There's smokes in their way. They can't really see all that much. Skadoodle wrapping in from Z, shuts down Legia. The upper hit's been completely decimated. Skadoodle even finding a second one. Justin does manage to outmaneuver Stewie, but now he's alone, and Skadoodle going to pick up the final frag. The saver of the inner hit there prevents the plant completely and shuts it all down.
Yeah, nice round from Skadoodle, but this opening kill from Shroud. Not even flinching at the player who jumps across, just ready for the peak afterwards. Then Skadoodle up top. 2 ups for Cloud9, doing some work in that round. Skadoodle with the 3 kill helps him out massively. So now 5 to 4 in favor of NRG at the moment. Still tenuous situation in terms of money for both teams. Whoever loses this is going to be very, very light. NRG is pretty much depleted despite winning 5 in a row. Cloud9, I mean, they just have to string them together so they don't get reset. You can see Skadoodle takes a shot from above. Now Stewie close up to that lower ramp. Is he going to time this all right? Legia turns from the flashbang. He's going to get aggressive. Stewie's not ready for this. Gets behind cover just in time. And there it is. Legia aims for Skadoodle, but Stewie finds him. Now Skadoodle has the angle with the op. He can make this work. They're swarming around this bomb site, though. They've got to be so careful. They're both in the same spot as well. This could be a double kill for NRG if they're careful, if they pounce at the right moment. But Cloud9 just hangs on. The rotation from nothing is right on point. And no one's fallen for Cloud9 somehow.
Stewie, especially with his position too, getting so aggressive, just pushing up directly into the Hornet's Nest, essentially. Peter finally shutting down at least one of these players. They try to get a bit too sneaky. He finds the frag on a Freakazoid, but now the question for Peter is, well, what do I do from here? Because he has no way to get himself safely, that is, back into the B-bomb site. He's going to have to retreat over here towards the ladder room and see if he can wrap around, but this is going to be easily read by C9's members too. Has nothing. He's already got some close eyes kept there towards Z. Not going to proactively move towards it, but Peter just trying to work a miracle at this point.
I imagine Peter, I mean, any kill he could get would be great, but I imagine he's just going to sit back here and maybe save his weapon. I can't imagine him trying to actually go for this. They're going to have to save next round, and that op might allow him to get a pick that can let them with, you know, with pistols, with P250s or Tech 9s, give him an opening to swarm in, but they will have no guns outside of this op into the next round. And it looks like he is just going to fall away slowly. 15 seconds left on the clock. Just throwing that flashbang earlier in towards the connector to kind of posture like he's being aggressive to keep Cloud9 from chasing him that early on. And Cloud9, no, they're sending no one. They're just content to sit back. So this is going to be a 5th round. Cloud9 evens things up at 5 to 5.
And again, C9 a little bit hesitant to go for that hunting kill because their money is still very low here as well. But they keep 4 players alive, so that's going to be a big boost to their own economy. Whereas for NRG, this time around, unless they go for some half buys here to upgrade to Tech 9s, maybe putting a couple armor buys behind it, all they're really going to have is Peter on that op, and that appears to be the case. As now we just see a Deagle going on to Justin, 2 P250s, 3 P250s now on Silent, Akabi, and Legia. Not a whole lot else beyond that, except for what Peter brings to the table from that previous round save.
Standard defense so far from Cloud9. This time a little bit more aggression towards T-Choke. The nades ran out, so Cloud9 says, we know all you have is the op. We're going to make sure the checkpoints are just peppered with grenades to open this round out. Force him back, does a little bit of damage. There's Shroud taking that shot one more time. Can't land it this time, but it is going to be all on Peter and perhaps Justin with the Deagle to find some kind of kill. Molotov is going to force Freakazoid out. Peter's not ready for it, but Gabi comes out as well, and he does find that kill. Freakazoid looks away at the wrong moment.
Freakazoid wasn't expecting 2 players to be pushing out from there, so now nothing as well. He's surprised as a push that comes outside the Ivy tunnel. Some great damage being done to the members of C9 over here now as that Skadoodle is going to be brought down solo. Legia just a cleanup crew here as he rolls in. Silent finding another pickup, but so did Stewie. So it's all on Shroud, and he's only got that op. It doesn't even look like there's any rifles nearby that he can switch over to at this point, too. Sees the foot, connects the shot onto Justin, but Legia's going to pounce on that. Jumps right out, finishes off Shroud, and NRG on what was basically a full save beyond that op is going to steal away around.
Yeah, Freakazoid here overextends. That first kill's great, but pushing up here, he's got no cover. I mean, whichever way he fights, he's fully exposed to the other side, and that 1 AK, look what it does. Legia picks it up, gets 2 kills, ends the round with 3. And that's brutal. That breaks the back of Cloud9. That's so crushing to lose that round. Look at this buy now. They do have a double op setup still, but Freakazoid, Stewie, they're stuck on just pistols. Nothing with the M4.
Legia may find himself in a little bit of a battle here early on. Stewie was contemplating pushing his way up the ramp. He has fallen away from it, though, as the only player holding on to this site, and Shroud's been met with better luck. He made a very aggressive push out over towards Ivy. He's found a first pickup on a Skadoodle, but striking back now. They're going to bring him down to 64 HP. Freakazoid, though, still able to support, shuts down Justin. Peter finding another shot here too, as they're going to attempt to push down the ramp and relocate the bomb over here as well, but that bomb is really far behind, and Stewie could pick up onto him, finishes off Legia. Down to 2 left alive here. Stewie taking another roll, a little bit too bold that time in the long range situation. He's down to 20 HP and has to hide a bit now, but Peter is going to try to change up the game plan once again, working his way out. He's still been hit, down to 39 HP. You also have this duel going on with Gabi and Stewie just at the bomb train on the B site.
Yeah, now Shroud's here as well. Nothing cheating over, and Gabi's going to work his way slowly along the wall. He could find Stewie here. Stewie's going to readjust inside that smoke, so still they've just been locked out of this bomb site. This is actually stellar play from Stewie, and he does find the kill long term. He wins that duel against Gabi finally. But that play by him, getting 1 kill and just staying alive, prevents anyone from NRG taking over and gaining positioning inside that inner bomb site. That allows these rotations to be much safer when they come in. And a good win from Cloud9. They respond.
Nicely played by Stewie there to hold on to that inner bomb site and prevent them from sneaking their way into it from the side of NRG. So NRG steal away 1 round, but C9 is the same thing right back to them. And now the game's going to be tied back up at 6 rounds to each team. NRG not really bringing all that much to the table, as nothing was saved this time. So just a couple upgrades, P250s on 2 of their players. A 10-9 being purchased for Justin, but there's no one going to be watching the upper push, so Skadoodle just gets a first free kill, and he reads all of this too, so Stewie is going to have all the time he needs to react to it. Finally, Gabi shuts him down after he finds 2 kills, and Skadoodle is going to be able to find a second for himself, but Gabi's alone now, just stuck behind this train, and as soon as he pushes out, Freakazoid is going to be able to dispatch him very quickly, giving the lead back to C9 now.
It's been a battle in this whole half to keep control of this game. We've seen these past few rounds just traded back and forth. It's Cloud9, they win 2 and then lose 1 and then win 2 more here. So they've got to hold on. Peter's back on the AWP for NRG. It's been a good half no matter how this ends for NRG. This has been solid stuff. I mean, even losing pistol round but winning, 5 straight was pretty solid to open up the gun rounds into this map. And now, I mean, still we're seeing this dual Shroud and Silent. Stewie inside playing behind this smoke, waiting for Gabi and Legia. Very default passive setup for NRG, not doing anything too creative just yet. And also not utilizing Peter to find any kind of a pick early on. He wasn't T-choke, but he was playing it very passively, and now he's just kind of figuring out where he wants to go. Looks like he's going to be used to just line up a smoke, not trying to find an opening kill for him. The op on Skadoodle has rotated back towards the inner bomb site to keep an eye on the lower ramp for Stewie. So Cloud9 very passive, not challenging these choke points too much, giving a little bit of room for NRG to work with on this execute.
The aggression earlier on in the half from C9 sort of managed to tame the members of NRG, so they're just going to go for a pretty straightforward execute now to get themselves over to the outside site. Freakazoid so far just locking it down, picked up the first 2 kills. Peter responds by finishing him off, but however, just after that, nothing is going to burn Justin alive. Silent trying to push his way in, finds another kill, pick up over on to Shroud, bring it into a 3v2, but not a whole lot of ground has been gained here for NRG, unfortunately. Silent still trying to creep his way around to get better control of the site, but he just lost his only other teammate. Silent sneak through with a kill into nothing, but now they know exactly where he is, and he doesn't even have bomb control.
Yeah, he's not ready for Skadoodle to be beneath the ladder. That's an easy kill for the AWP of Cloud9. 8-6 now. They've won the half. They're looking to extend it to a 3-round lead moving forward, and it's a great opportunity as well. NRG just down to pistols here. And last time they did this, they at least had the AWP of Peter to work with, but this time it's not available to him. Double op setup for Cloud9. Shroud back on it.
NRG back down to just upgrading those pistols. It's still a full buy beyond that, of course, bringing the upgraded armor along with full utility buy to try to force some sort of push, because they are falling behind, and of course it's going to be that final round, but in terms of firepower, they're not bringing a whole lot else to the mix. So C9 just going to set themselves up. No reason to diverge from that just as of yet. And NRG's members need to try and come up with something creative. This is the same issue they ran into previously when they played C9 last time, was that they tried a couple different strats, nothing started to work, and they sort of just ran out of the playbook at this point. So C9 had gotten the read on everything they wanted to throw at them, and they were never really able to stop it, as C9 just had the better fragging power. So this time, though, NRG have sort of pushed their way out over towards the outside site. Justin has at the very least. He's outside of T-Con right now, but struggling to find a way around it. Thankfully, Justin keeps himself quiet for a little bit, so he picks up that first kill, but beyond this, there's nothing else being found. C9 just shuts it down completely for those players trying to push outside the ladder room, and they're going to take the lead coming out of their CT side half with a 9-6 advantage.
Yeah, Cloud9 goes on a 6-1 tear to end that half, the last 7 rounds of that half. So really good stuff. They got to 5 rounds straight for NRG, but once that losing bonus went away at Cloud9, they had all the money. You can just see that, they were just getting abused. They didn't have the utility to hold off the NRG hits, and once they got it, just due to that losing bonus, they're able to carry things back. So a good half from both teams, actually. 9-6. on your CT side, not the strongest, but also, I mean, nicely done on the terrorist side for NRG. A little bit of seeing why they picked that to open things up there, because they almost could have just ran away with it.
Yeah, there was definitely some very dangerous points where C9 was essentially broken and really managed to bounce back off of some hero performances like Stewie on that B-bomb site when they were essentially on that last broken buy before they had to go for another full save, and that probably would end up being 2 because of the buy they went for there. So Stewie really saves them at a certain point in the match, and we actually probably could have been looking at a flipped scoreboard had that round specifically had gone in the other direction.
Yeah, the big thing is now Cloud9, we get to see them really be tested on their T side, which we've seen across multiple maps. This is usually their weaker side, especially like and we're still going to talk about it still. It happened such a long time ago. They lose Sean Gares, the big tactical mind, and we've seen their struggles with nothing at the helm. Now he's got some help with them. They've given Stewie a little bit more responsibility to have input on tactics and what he likes to do on T sides. They have Irakanji as well to help him out in practice. So we'll see the result of that. Doesn't look too bad recently very quickly. Yeah, you can see Irakanji is in the server. Thank you, DJ, for pointing that out.
So with him helping them out a little bit here, we're just waiting for both teams to rotate up and then we can jump onto the other side. But NRG as well do have to be a little bit careful here because despite C9's struggles, this is one of their better T-sided maps. And they've shown this from time to time again, especially if they can get that pistol round here. They're immediately going to be put into a very dangerous situation where C9, assuming there's no problems with those following 2 anti-eco rounds, of course, where C9 is going to immediately double the scoreline of NRG. And from that point forward, it's going to be a trek to try and work their way back into the match.
Now, let's put you on the spot here. Do you think Cloud9 is going to make it out of their group at the major?
Remind me one more time, what is
their group? Is Navi, Virtus.pro, G2, and Cloud9.
I mean, G2 and Virtus.pro have been in a bit of a slump recently. I think G2's been doing a little bit better, but there's very easily a chance that if one of those 2 teams performs up weak, that C9 could
Let's make it a yes or no question. Does Cloud9 make it out of groups at the major?
I'll say like...
No, it's a yes or no question.
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
And there's about like a 60% chance in my mind that it's a no.
All right. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, they do, I mean, you did mention Virtus.pro, obviously not the most impressive team. G2, I mean, has looked good in stretches, but I mean, this is also, I think there's the existence curse going on too. I don't even think he's made it out of groups at a major either. He might have made it out once with very games way back when. But they have a tough time in groups at majors as well. Not the most successful group of players when it comes to getting out of that. So that will be interesting to see how that all plays out. I think Cloud9 has a very good chance of making it out of that group, actually.
You're forgetting Splice. Clearly.
The hope?
Yeah. Clearly the true hope of North America.
You know, Yanko and Sadicus have to get a Splice tattoo if they make it out of groups of the major.
I remember that. Sadicus is...
Sadicus going to get that tramp stamp.
Sadicus apparently has a blood disease that will kill him if he gets
has a bleeding
that,
disorder, so he could be risking his life.
Difficult. Anyway, it looks like we are going live, guys, into the second half now. So C9 still holds the lead for anybody that is just joining us. It's 9-6. C9 goes on to the T side. NRG will have to look to reestablish themselves very quickly, of course. This could be a dangerous scoreline on now their CT side. Let's get to it.
A lot of utility. Actually, not too. Actually, they're missing a lot of smokes. They have 2 Molotovs, 2 smokes. This is going to be an inner hit for Cloud9. They're going to use those Molotovs to, outside into the train yard. But they're going to use these Molotovs immediately. I thought they would use them for the post plant. Either way, they're on the hit. The USP's not doing all the damage. 4-on-3. Freakazoid's going to get this bomb planted, but you can see Silent still alive. He was in old hell. He's going to wheel around and flank onto Nothing. Justin is causing enough of a distraction to make that difficult, but Nothing recovers nicely. And now Justin on the back of this train in a 1-on-3. He does have a kit, but that's about all he's got. 1 flashbang as well. Nice headshot on Freakazoid to open things up. He knows Skadoodle is in ladder room. He's going to tap the bomb, and he's just going to stick it.
Yep, so even if the players on C9 had been a little bit more timid, that Molly would have immediately thrown him off it, and C9, they're going to hold on to their lead, at least for this first round. But now the question for NRG is, are they going to force up the next one? It does not appear as though that's the case. Just upgrading to a couple P250s. Legia going to go for the Deagle, as he normally does. So NRG, they're going to respect C9 here in these first couple of rounds and allow them to grow their lead a little bit further.
Yeah, here's the tough part as well. This is now both pistol rounds won by Cloud9, giving them a distinct advantage, especially if they can make it out with winning the opening 3 rounds of each half. If they're not going to get, eco'd here in round 2. Legia does have a Deagle. That's the only one. The rest of the players have P250. Silent has a nade as well. But heavy stack towards the outer bomb site. 4 members here. Legia with that Deagle playing towards inner. I don't believe this has been spotted out quite yet. Cloud9 playing this very, very cautiously. They do have 2 MAC-10s on Shroud and Freakazoid that can be used to be aggressive, maybe throw away weapons to kind of get the impression of what kind of setup they're going against.
Freakazoid still playing inside of that T-connector. Same thing that he did back on the CT side. He spotted the play from Silent as he's tried to push himself forward, and some decent nades tossed out, bringing him down to 71 HP, but now he's going to try to push forward. Freakazoid probably going to be looking to the top of that train first, so Silent gets the advantage initially, but is not able to execute with the headshot. So only going to tap him a little bit here, and ultimately he's going to try to change up his angle, but there's so much pressure about to erupt from C9 here. He's got to be very careful.
Yeah, that nade might just, nope, goes a little bit. Oh, it does still get him. Shroud, long range, he grabs it. Now here come the MAC-10s, pushing down these lanes. Freakazoid's going to get the opening kill. And it could just be a slaughter and connector. None of them have armor.
That molly's perfect, too.
Yeah.
It just completely blocks off the entire rotates. There's nothing left for NRG to do. C9 are going to take full control of this round, despite the final 2 attempting to rotate themselves. They're not looking for that retake. They're just trying to find any greedy players on C9 that want to look for the kill.
Yeah, Legia now with Deagle. Goes for that shot, misses the opening. Stewie doesn't even want to mess with it either. You can see him just chilling far back. Actually, now he exposes himself a little bit. Now he swings a little bit wider to see if it's going to happen. But Justin and Legia, they seem content to just sit back towards CT spawn and try and punish anyone who chases after him. But Freakazoid is like, I don't care if I lose the MAC-10, maybe get some bonus money. Now he's been dealt enough damage that he shies away. Biggest worry now for him is getting away from the bomb in time. The Cloud9, they take no losses. A good second round for them. No damage done. So they survive with all 5 players alive.
NRG going to be saving up once more, of course, heading into the 3rd round, as we see them play that very, very passive economy style, both on their T side and the CT side, like we saw back in the last step there. Despite them having the money to force a 3rd round buy, and they saved it. Just went for the 4th one as per usual anyway. So there's that hero nade as well that is completely decimated Silent.
I love that every time I see a nade thrown that I think is going to kill somebody, it does like no damage, and then I think the nade's going to completely miss, and of course, kills them.
CSGO physics,
Yeah.
the best, especially the grenades. All right, so C9 more than likely going to be picking up a 12th round here since there's a minimal investment coming out from NRG. Just those P250s, Gabi doesn't buy anything. He's just sticking with the USP, and Legia saves that deagle, but we've already seen gonna probably have too much effect this time. They are trying to get aggressive by pushing up the T-Con, so they find a first kill there. Freakazoid did respond by shutting down Peter, and he's just taking his time with this one now, popping away. Shroud finding another one on the Silent too, so it's already down to Legia and Gabi. Both of them are completely disconnected from the A-bomb site, and as soon as they try to get aggressive, C9 seems to already have a lock on these positions.
Yeah, so far so good from Cloud9. Still moving forward these MAC-10s. Freakazoid's gonna, nope, that's gonna be Skadoodle takes it, so no bonus money for Freakazoid on that kill, but either way, he's gotten 2 in this round. They have plenty of money moving forward. They're already ready for this flank by Gabi. They've got to deal with the, oh my god, that flashbang, he's so blind. That's so unfortunate. And Freakazoid cleans that out, even brings the Galil into the next round.
The funnier part about that too was they just tossed a nade, which basically fed him that Galil, so they're like, oh, here's a gun, by the way, here's a flash as well, and well, now you're dead. So C9 got to start themselves off well in the second half, up to 6-12. And if they take this first gun round here, then they might very well have the map in hand, as NRG is going to be so far behind at this point. So NRG absolutely have to start racking up some rounds here, or C9's going to run away with the scoreline.
Thankfully, because they didn't really invest too much in those opening 2 rounds, all that's heartbreaking. Skadoodle gets aggressive in the choke point, finds Legia. Now Peter does give him a parting gift, brings him down to 41 with a tag through the wall. But an opening pick for Cloud9 ruins a lot of the dreams of NRG, so they've got to come back from a man deficit, and actually Cloud9 is about to put a lot of pressure on the center bomb site. They know that 1 kill is going to force a rotation to the outer yard to have 3 people, so Gabi is all alone at the moment. And are they going to get in time? Are they going to execute in time before the rotation comes in from NRG?
No shifting whatsoever from the players that are on the outside yard for NRG, pushing themselves a little bit closer to Z, but now they can hear the nades being thrown in, but it's too late. The execution is going to begin. Gabi has placed himself up on the train, just over to the right of the train yard, but the smokes, that's actually a great nade that's tossed in once again. It shuts down Skadoodle. Gabi pushes through the smoke, finds another pickup on a nothing. Peter finds a kill. Finally, Freakazoid is bouncing this back a little bit for his team, but look at the position from Justin. He just sneaks right through that smoke, kills Shroud, leaving only Freakazoid alive. He's trying to keep himself up and going here too, but Justin might have been failing in this duel, but thankfully Peter's around the corner. He's going to stop before it gets too crazy, and the first gun round goes by the way of NRG.
Yeah, this was tough, but this is a good recovery, and it's not really a team recovery, it's Peter. This 1 kill through the smoke to take, or that's nade actually from Justin, and then Peter grabs 1. But that play from Gabi, getting aggressive through the smoke, finding nothing, that was also the bomb, so the rest of Cloud9 had to move on without it. They had to push forward. All the rotations were in. They had to try and take those battles before they could turn around and get the bomb. So a little bit unfortunate, but a nice recovery from NRG. Still not out of it just yet. Another buy from Cloud9. They do have the op on Peter, but it's just a shotgun on Legia.
For the rest of C9, they push themselves up to the back of the B bomb site. 2 moving into here. Gabi's going to try to resist it a little bit, but he doesn't exactly know how much pressure is being thrown against him, so he doesn't want to risk his own life this early on in the round. Here's the players that are there. He knows there's a bit of pressure, so just going to fall back and place himself on the inside of the B-bomb site for the time being.
Default setup from Cloud9. Stewie and Shroud taking over box halls, you know, ensuring that Peter's going to be here on the rotator, or at least a second player, but with that up towards the upper ramp, Shroud is extended for just a little bit too long, and he gets dropped. Nothing's been dinked over towards Ivy. All these battles initially being won by NRG, they haven't taken a single point of damage. Stewie dropping on ladder. Legia's going to hear this. Pop Flash comes in. There's the shotgun. Easy kill. And now it's up to nothing, although Freakazoid does respond onto that shotgun, and they're streaming out actually towards Hell. Nothing's going to find a kill. Down to a 3-on-3. Freakazoid's got great positioning. No one from NRG has addressed this just yet, but Peter is still alive. And actually, Freakazoid spots the head, not able to get that kill. And blind, Justin pushes forward, finds two. Huge play from him, just down to nothing, and is also going to get cleaned out. Triple kill by Justin to close out the round.
That first kill was brilliant, too. The pop flash up against the wall, completely blinding his first opponent, which I believe was Skadoodle, gets that one, and then it just snowballs out of control from there. So Justin, who had been a little bit iffy at this point up onto this match, absolutely shuts things down there for his team to keep them on the path to reclaim the lead. Up to 8-12 now. Still a bit of a ways to go, but they've broken C9. They're going to go for a pretty light bot round now.
At least they do have a lot of smokes. They have a plan here. They want to try and get a plant down, and it's looking like it's going to be towards this outer yard where they set up a wall of smokes, doing nothing, just initially posturing to prevent any kind of a push towards the inner bomb site. But NRG's playing a little bit passively, which might help out. They're going to have to deal with Legia, who's on top of that first train. He's going to be the first contact, and if he does too much damage, this bomb, I mean, this might just kind of ruin the dreams of Cloud9. 4 smokes to use, though, and 1 flashbang, so they have a lot of varied strategies they can use to get this one plant.
NRG, though, still playing it aggressively, and even Justin now is going to continue to push up to support Legia. He's watching out for the T-connector push, but his teammate Justin over there going to watch out for the ladder push. They try to funnel their way out to it now, and actually, Legia not able to connect those shots, so Freakazoid finds the first opening kill. Silent responding back, but the bomb is pushing its way forward. Thankfully, Justin has a good angle, so he's going to be able to pick up 2 kills back-to-back, but Peter, a little bit overwhelmed. They're up on the bomb train. They do manage to escape with the plant. However, Skadoodle has a last one alive. He's picked up an AK. They are aware, of course, of where he's standing, so they will be able to execute him, but some fairly decent damage done by C9, and they get the plant, so not a bad round at all. Yeah,
2 kills in the plant. That's actually huge for the investment that they made. Really, really good stuff. Double up setup is out for NRG. Justin has been a monster in the outer train yard these past few rounds. He's got one of the ops. More than likely, I would assume, pass that over to Peter. Yeah, so Peter and Silent with the AWPs into this one. Keep Justin, who's been playing aggressively in that outer train yard, and he's been the spearhead of this defense. He's been the first contact, and he's handled it very, very well. But now, Cloud9, they have a much better buy than we've seen them with in some time. Skadoodle has an op, no armor behind it, but everyone else has AK-47s, full armor, and full utility with 4 Molotovs to use.
Everybody on C9 once again going for that default setup now, pushing their players 2 over here towards Ivy. Not a whole lot of action happening so far from NRG there towards Ivy, just mainly holding the default angles, and that aggression has been postured way more in the way that C9 was throwing it back in the last half, pushing their way up through the short alley over here towards T-connector or other avenues, but Silent actually is going to get met with some grenades early on here as he tosses them back, brings nothing down to 16 HP. The first kill, though, is going to come at the hands of Freakazoid, who pushes out into T-Con. That is his playground on this map. Shuts down one of the players from NRG, taking down Justin, and gives them the early man advantage.
Yeah, he finds that timing. Got B over towards the inner bomb site as well. Eats a nade from Stewie just as he's climbing up a ladder, so that's a little bit heartbreaking. But still, Cloud9 with this pick haven't applied pressure anywhere. A minute left on the clock. They're waiting to see if there's going to be any more aggression whatsoever. Try and bait out some more nades. They throw a smoke down towards the lower ramp deep. Gabi's the only one at this inner train yard, actually, and Stewie's getting a little bit aggressive down this lower ramp. If he chooses to go, should have seen the trajectory of that. Pop Flash is going to come out. He's going to go right through it, as we know Stewie loves to do. They catch Gabi out in the open. Nothing gets a kill as well. They've slaughtered the defense, but one more test. Legia on this flank. Shroud looks ready for it. He does eventually fall, but now his teammates are wise. Freakazoid's out in the open, though. Peter gets 1 kill towards CT spawn, and now he's got an avenue for retake as well.
They didn't spot Freakazoid, so he's going to be safe for the time being, but you still have the 2 around the bomb train. Stewie, the most notable one, but he leaves himself exposed, so Legia is going to be able to pick up that kill. He's mollied, but he throws one down on his own to try and force these players off of the bomb train. In the meantime, this is giving Peter all the time he needs to push forward, but he's just lost his teammate, so now it all comes down to Peter trying to pick up that first kill on a Skadoodle, but he's not even going to find that. Skadoodle shuts it down, and C9 retake a firm lead now, bringing themselves up to 13 rounds.
Oh, and NRG, I would be surprised if we didn't see a pause here. They have a decision to make in their buy, and they are going to go for it. Swapping weapons over. They have an AWP on Peter, M4 on Silent, M4 on Gabi, but Justin and Legia, their economy was a little bit too beat up. They're stuck on the pistols. Peter as well, no armor, no nades whatsoever. So this has got to be a very heroic round for the NRG guys to stay alive, because after this, I mean, if they lose this and Cloud9's at 14 and then they're on a save, it becomes a very difficult spot to be in. Pop flash, Justin is initially blind. Nothing is playing this very passively, expecting some kind of aggression. He'd be correct as well. Looks like Silent throws a pop flash as well. Justin streams out, gets the initial dink onto nothing, actually loses that battle. So good opening from NRG so far.
We're not going to spot really anything else beyond that now, so they're going to get a lot of extra support in the event that we do start to see some more players peek out from here now. So Silent hugging the corner, but it doesn't really look like he's going to push beyond this. Just holding it back, tossing out the smoke, and this is going to be great too, because this would be a false positive for C9 to push forward just over there to the area outside of the tunnel itself, but it doesn't look like C9 are going to fall for it. Still playing themselves very passively now that they know NRG have gotten aggressive. They don't want to try to give away anything here earlier on in the round. They do have to start mobilizing to get themselves into the site, and finally they have that false positive, works out great. Silent picks up that kill and nothing, is able to finish him off, and now they've been stunned because all of the attention from the guys on NRG can be devoted to the actual hit.
Yeah, that Molotov used perfectly as well. Slows down Stewie and Shroud from getting out ladder. Freakazoid and Skadoodle are out here. This has bought so much time for the rotate. Silent still just hanging out in hell. Doesn't have to do anything quite yet. Peter's got the op as well, trying to find the angle. He does tag one, but now the Molotovs, now the smoke's rain out, and actually Gabi had rotated back, so him and Peter are stuck. This isolates. Silent's got to have a big round here, and he's got a good angle. He finds that first kill. There's one more on top of the trend, Skadoodle, but he hits the shot. Silent gets shut down, and now the bomb can be planted safely. Gabi going for something, and actually the initial miss by Skadoodle gives him a window of opportunity, but it's quickly closed.
He's got to be careful too. He's being flanked at the moment here. He doesn't even realize it as of yet, but Peter's covering that. So he is able to take him down. Gabi missing the connection though on a Skadoodle, and at this point, Skadoodle is trying to bait out Gabi because there we go. Shroud finally peeking from the ladder room. You've only got Peter left alive. He does have the lock onto the final two locations that he needs to take these players down from, but he's running out of time. And C9 are playing this so passively now. Peter pushing forward. This needs to be an absolute hero play from him. Trying to find that first connection with Skadoodle, but not going to be able to grab it. Skadoodle shuts down Peter, and C9 win yet another round.
Yeah, and that's crippling. NRG had so much. I mean, essentially the match was on the shoulders of that round. Now it's going to have to be an insane comeback because, I mean, NRG's going to buy into this, but it's going to be all pistols. One scout on Silent. They don't have money for any M4s. Light on utility as well. Only 3 smokes to utilize. 1 kit onto Peter. So backs against the wall. Freakazoid's back on that Mac 10, so he can lead the way and bust open a stack, and actually they're going to get out. I mean, this is Freakazoid getting out very, very quickly. Shroud even picking up the pace towards the inner site. Mac 10 comes into play. Is he aware one's above him? He's not. Peter finds the opening kill. They get very aggressive towards Connector, and that scout even chiming in does damage to Skadoodle. Now nothing, being a little bit aggressive here. That pop flash is going to be heard by nothing. He's ready for this push.
So now they're going to funnel out onto the B-bomb site here. Gabi falling back a little bit, going to give them some room to push their way out here as he needs to allow himself to get himself some teammates into this fight as well. Moving in, they've got Peter to help out, and a little bit further back, Silent with that scout too, but Justin going to push his way through Ivy. He's found a kill to nothing, and now they're actually going to rotate back. This is great. The fact they've lost nothing is going to be a bonus for these players, because now they think it's going to be an outside hit again. This is definitely not the case. Gabi completely overexposed himself. Stewie's going to be able to just eliminate him. In the final 4, they're going to be late on the rotate. Thankfully, Peter still able to find a kill. He grabs a second one to Stewie, trying to pick up that up, but that's a little overzealous, as now Shroud is given the chance to finish him off. However, Shroud leaves himself out in the open once more, and Silent is able to execute him with the scout to give the round to NRG.
Cloud9 just lose too many forces as that, too many players as that round goes on. NRG's able to find some individual kills, and I mean, even in the case of nothing, just flat out losing a duel against a pistol when you have an AK. Things that just can't happen, and Cloud9's given one back, and now they're forced onto the low econ buy. Just pistols for them. Gonna save up for the next round, but I mean, NRG, brilliant stuff. They buy himself a little bit of a lifeline now.
So Freakazoid going back into his usual position, or apologies, moving up through the White Halls now and through the locker rooms to group up with his teammates. It's going to be 4 lined up in the back of the B halls now. I'm waiting for it. Gabi, there's a smoke outside of the ramp, but he can see everything, and they don't know it as of yet. However, Stewie, good response from him. They got aggressive over towards T-Connector, so Justin is able to take down nothing, but still, they've got very little ground to work with here on the CT side, and they're already inside of that site. They get the bomb down. Peter, though, is just going off. He's finished off both Stewie and Skadoodle, leaving just Shroud and Freakazoid alive for the clutch, and neither have a molly either, so they can't really just hide over there on the top of the B-bomb site.
Yeah, I mean, they're just, at this point, they've given up the round. They're just going for some kind of a weapon towards the end of it. Maybe they can find Silent. It's just a scout, so no big loss for them, but anything they can find at this stage, any rebuy they force out of the hands, and Freakazoid waiting for this opportunity. He finds it now. Good headshot, does get that kill. Round does go to NRG, though, so 11-14. This time, Cloud9's going to be all in on the buy. They're ready to go. AKs come out. That scout is going to be dropped over, forgotten about, but Nice shots from Peter there.
And with that, the pressure is going to go right back onto the members of NRG here, as things need to remain consistent with their own economy troubles, still sitting at the highest amount, being 2.65 over on Legia, Justin a little bit behind that at 2.5, but most of these guys are way down on the totem pole, not really having a whole lot of money to make it through this next round, let alone many more beyond that here, as they're still 3 behind C9 at this point. They're coming into this one with a full buy. Back to the default setup, though, as their players spread themselves out, already lining up for smokes over towards the outside site. So it might be a pretty quick execution here. Freakazoid's placed himself back inside of T-Connector. Not a lot of pressure coming in from NRG this time, with the only exception being Legia. He's moved himself in ladder. He's got a good angle to take down Stewie if he's able to avoid this first flash, but no, it's going to be directly in his face. But that smoke might throw Stewie off. Thankfully, Stewie's very slow at actually pushing into this site, but nonetheless, Skadoodle finds that first shot, and Stewie, as he jumps down, is actually just going to be able to take out Legia anyway, so not too good of a start here, and they're just falling one by one. Freakazoid finds 2 more, and Skadoodle finishes it off with a kill on a God B.
Yeah, that's incredible. Cloud9 just peeled apart that defense. The execute into the outer yard, but they didn't get too aggressive with it. They played behind trains, they played behind their smokes. No intel could be gathered from NRG, and once Peter falls, they have no one at range. It's you know, Legia's in what ladder room getting no information, providing no communication of what's happening. Justin's behind this first train, very isolated, very little vision of the outer train yard, so can't prove any, or can't tell his teammates anything. So they eventually just kind of fall, and they're very, very lonely positioning. Cloud9 get up towards 15 rounds, and now again, big advantage into this. They did lose it last time, and once again, it's aggression towards G-Choke. Legia gets that kill with the M4. Freakazoid trying to be aggressive. Now Cloud9 with no map control, they have to come towards the center bomb site. They have to do it quickly as well before the flanks come in, but Peter's already found one at ladder. Gabi close up with a mag 7. He's going to get a kill despite being blind. So Cloud9, they're dropping the ball here in these rounds, and they can't close it out once again. Skadoodle falls 15-12, but NRG just will not let them get away with this win.
Getting a free op out of that play, too, where they were essentially broken. You could see the guns on screen now. They only had those 3 rifles, but, I mean, if I saw what I think I saw on Freakazoid's screen when he actually pushed himself out, you should have been able to see 3 players out on the outer site. So for whatever reason, when they go for the execute, as soon as that first shoddy kill comes out, they're just completely held back. And C9 falter for the rest of that round there. So they're not going to be able to close out the game just as of yet. And their economy is broken once more. They're forcing up here. The only AK we see on the board is coming out from Freakazoid. The rest of these players are just going to go for some upgraded pistols and Stewie with the Tech 9 armor buy. But NRG once more has a huge advantage here.
This time, Cloud9's wasting no time towards Ivy, no time towards T-Con. All 5 members into these box halls, and Peter's just rotated away, so Gabi can have a tall task ahead of him. That smoke is not going to be used quite yet. It is just a matter of time before he throws that, but Cloud9 might be able to beat the execution. Actually, they are. Gabi with this Molotov, it's too late. They're already past it. The bomb's going to get planted. Gabi's going to get aggressive as well, but here's Stewie jumping up with a Tech 9, finds the opening kill.
So that's found now. Skadoodle's going to be free to push forward a little bit here, along with nothing helping him out. Freakazoid's found another pickup onto Peter, but they are responding back quite nicely, down to a 3-on-3 now. But some very forward positions being held by the members of C9. NRG are going to have to be careful of that as they go for the retake, and unfortunately, they're not here. Skadoodle not connecting as many shots as he would like. Nothing finally responding back by finishing off Legia, and following up with a second one now that he picks up a rifle. But Justin gets a good flank, brings it into a 1v1. I don't think he fully realizes just how close Stewie is, that he's going to jump onto this. It's the full 10-second defuse. He checks the direction. He doesn't see it. So Stewie's going to close it out. And that first map now is going to go into the control of Cloud9.
Yeah, just a nice round from nothing there. Those 2 kills, because those last 3 members in that 3-on-3 were just the pistols from Cloud9. Find their way into that bomb site. They get those advantageous positions. It's really, really good stuff, but it all came down to that double kill by nothing to get that 1 rifle, to get that second kill, alleviate some of the pressure. And good stuff, despite struggling to close that match. It was incredible. I mean, they're winning the gun rounds. They're winning the gun rounds. And whenever it's a low econ situation from NRG, they're not able to do it. So a little bit of a tough match for Cloud9, but eventually they do take it.
And that interesting decision as well from NRG to actually start themselves off on the T side. Might have worked out, like we said, if 1 or 2 rounds had played out differently, but it doesn't. C9 get the opening advantage there by winning that first half, and then they continue onwards. They start off 12-6. NRG bounces back a little bit, but ultimately C9 hold too strong of a lead there to allow NRG to battle their way back up to a 15-15 scoreline or 16-14, something like that.
It actually wasn't a bad T side from NRG whatsoever. So I mean, that decision by them wasn't the big problem. It was just that T side at a Cloud9. They just kind of ran away with it, losing both pistols as well for NRG. That's something they've got to fix up into the next matchup. So we're seeing some replays here. I mean, that kill from Legia, that's another one that should be able to get taken. Here's the shotgun that we're not going to see, but either way, and overall, a good match from Cloud9. These 2 are going to be playing again next in the second map of that doubleheader. That's going to be on Cobble So when we come back from break, that's what we will show you guys. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.